Hello everyone, welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel. My name is Matt Hill and I'm here with your Tuesday rundown ahead of the action at the PDC World Championship. Round one really up and running now. I think we're over the halfway point in terms of games played, or very close to it. I have lost count a little bit. But certainly games coming thick and fast. Now we have got just worth noting, tomorrow we've only got an evening session. It's that weird day in the first round where you don't get an afternoon session, just an evening session. So let's enjoy the 8 games today because we're back down to 4 tomorrow briefly. Just to recap on yesterday really quickly. Had a good winner on the Hop versus Lukeman game back in Hop on the minus 180s handicap. Other two didn't go to plan, so it was kind of a push. I think it was a slight loss on the day. I'll have to just check the staking accordingly. Still ahead for the tournament, so that's not a disaster. Yeah, I did also mention the Menzies versus Mambi game as, no official bet, but maybe look at ladder in 180s. I think Mambi finished on 5 or 4. Menzies got 7. Obviously a crazy game, great finish, but a bit of a sad aftermath with Menzies. I don't want to say you don't like to see it because obviously it's drama and at the time you're like, oh my God, but yeah, in hindsight, quite sad. Clearly someone to me that's struggling with the mental side of things, and I hope he can get some help in that as well because he's a fantastic player. Thought played really, really well, Cam Menzies as well. So shame someone has to lose, but that is the way that sport goes. From my perspective, we'll back Charlie Mambi for the quarter, very speculatively. I thought he was great, settled in. It'd be a tough man to beat. Looking forward to seeing him again in round 2. So yes, let's crack on then with today's action. Starting with Alan Soutar versus Teemu Harju. Soutar a 1-3 favourite here. Teemu Harju 11-4 with BetMGM, 27-10 with LiveScore and the likes, 5-2 generally. Now Alan Soutar is the one that people will know a lot more of. He's obviously been around the tour now for 5 or 6 years. Made the last 16 here on debut in the 2021 edition. Followed that up with the last 16 in the 2022 edition. Hasn't been as good since for Soutar. And to be honest, 2025 hasn't been as good for Soutar. Very likeable guy. Obviously, firefighter away from the hockey. Trains guide dogs. I mean, just seems like a saint and a top bloke. But you have to say that he's struggling a little bit compared to when he first came on the scene here. And I don't think he'll be sweating over his tour card next year because I think he's got a little bit more quality than that. But if he goes out the first round here, then it's going to make it a nervy year. I think he's earned like 40-something thousand pound in prize money. You want to be earning somewhere around the 80 grand mark over the 2 years. So yeah, he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be going out here. There is a little bit of pressure attached. He plays someone in Harju who, if you've not seen Teemu play, he's quite lethargic, quite precise. He qualified here via the Nordic and Baltic Tour. He won their Nordic and Baltic Championship to qualify, but Andreas Harrison won that tour. Harju was very competitive with him. We've already seen what Andreas Harrison did to Ross Smith the other night. So clearly there's a game there. Harju, if you look at his regional tour stats, frequently posts 90-something averages. My concern with him is when I've seen him on the European tour, he's looked a little bit overawed at times. Lost 6-0 to Dirk van Duijvenbode, 6-0 to James Wade. When he did settle, he gave Ryan Joyce a really good game. I think he lost 6-4 in the end. So it's all about how he settles on this stage, because if he doesn't settle, it's a great opportunity for Soutar to win this 3-0. If he does settle, I think this is a really, really close game. In the circumstances, I'm just going to chance 1 point on Harju at 11-4. I think it's worth a go. I think you'll probably know your fate with this one after a set. If he has settled well, won a couple of legs, ideally nicked the set, then I think he probably wins it. If not, I think he loses 3-0. So it's one way or the other, really, for me. But at the prices, I'll chance a point on Harju, 11-4. Second game of the day is Nick Kenny versus Justin Hood. And this is a very close run game, I think. And the market suggests that as well. Hood was instilled as quite a big favourite. Kenny has subsequently been backed in. And I think this is about right. Like Justin Hood, very solid floor player in his first year on the PDC Pro Tour, but he's been knocking around on the amateur circuits for years as a very decent player. He's played likes of the Challenge Tour as well with some success. Good on the Motor Super Series. On the floor this year, it's not so much that he's had great runs. He's just been very, very solid. Plenty of round 1 and round 2 scalps against bigger players. And I think we finally saw sort of a reward for that consistency at the Players' Championship finals when he beat Damon Heta 6-4 in round one in a really close game, then lost the last leg decider to Andrew Gilding. And that was kind of an indication that he can compete on the stage against these sort of established players. But there's no doubt that this is the biggest stage he's ever played on by a distance, because those Players' Championship finals victories were on stage 2, which at Minehead is very low key, really, compared to stage 1. So still questions to answer for Justin Hood as to whether his performance will hold up on a stage as big as this. I think it probably will. He seems a pretty unflappable character, so I think he will settle okay. Nick Kenny, on the other hand, well, he's a player who probably improves for a big stage. You'd have to say that based off last year, where he turned up here needing a couple of wins to save his tour card, and he got them. And he beat Raymond van Barneveld in the second game, and he beat him very comfortably when he was quite unfancied. I remember this because I backed Kenny, and I was delighted, obviously. But I thought he was a player last year when I watched him that seemed to improve for the big stage. He's a bit of a showman. He likes to give it some when he hits big shots, typical Welshman. I think that when we look at seasonal statistics, we can expect Kenny to improve a little bit on his seasonal statistics when he comes to an arena such as this. So it's a very tight game. The angle I actually like is probably 180s. I think the most 180s here. The total 180s. I can find it. The line is at 6.5, 4-5, 7.5, 11-8. I quite like the 7.5, to be honest. So I think both players, I think we'll get more than 3 sets here. Both players will win a set. The market kind of suggests that. And therefore, I think that there's ample time for the 180s to go in. I think between them, they can certainly muster this line up. So you've got 11-8 there with sort of the Canby sports books. And I think 6-5 is absolutely fine too. So that would be the way I would play game 2. Game 3 is Scott Williams versus Paolo Nebrida. The bet I like in this is Nebrida for a ton plus checkout, which is 11-10 with Bet365. Nebrida's shown himself time and again to be one of the most solid Asian tour performers around. Every time he comes over, he gives a good account of himself. Never more so than last year when he made the last 32 here, accounting for Jim Williams 3-2, and then he beat Ross Smith 3-0. And Nebrida, I don't consider him a particularly big 180 hitter, but he's very, very efficient. Not many trebleless visits. He stays in legs and he can finish them. Likes a combination finish, as I mentioned. Got one in both of his wins last year and in defeat. Also, when we saw him at the Bahrain Darts Masters, knocked in a 1-1-6 against Rob Cross. He's done similar against Michael Smith previously on the World Series. So I think that he should be a little bit shorter here for a ton plus finish, particularly when you consider the length of time that he's got. You've got a minimum of 9 legs, but in reality, it's going to be more like 15 to 20 legs this game, I would think, because I think both players win a set, and I think it'll be fairly tight run. Williams a worthy favourite, but I do have a couple of concerns with Williams. The dreaded D word, dartitis. We have seen little flickers of a struggle with his throw. He seemed to not show as much of that at the recent Players' Championship finals, admittedly, but this is high exposure, high pressure, big stage. If it was to rear its head, it wouldn't surprise me that much. Having interviewed Scott and talked to Scott a few times, really top bloke, and I hope that doesn't happen. But you do have to factor it in that he might just be struggling a little bit with his throw. Obviously, a former semi-finalist here 2 or 3 years ago, beat the likes of Noppert and Van Gerwen en route to the semis, so loves it here. If he's the best version of himself, he will win this match. If not, Nebrida will make it very, very close. But I think Nebrida for a ton plus checkout, 11-10 with Bet365, looks a rock solid way of playing it. Chris Dobey rounds off the afternoon against Zhong Zhao Chen, and I'm not going to spend a long time on this game. Dobey, a 1-50 favourite in places. Probably a little bit disrespectful to Zhong, who is far and away the best player China have produced in my memory. It was lost 3-0 to Ricardo Pietreczko last year, but was unlucky. Blew a couple of sets. He had missed multiple set darts in a couple of those. He was competitive. He can score. Probably like a few of the international qualifiers, just a few too many 5s and 1s, which probably kills him against someone of Dobey's calibre and class. For visibility, I backed Dobey to win a set at 9-1. I backed over 3.5 sets in this when it opened up at 9-1, along with a few other matches where there was a massive favourite. And I think that is only sort of 5-1 or 4-1 now. So, 9-1 here, I'm feeling like I'm on the right price. Would I back it again at 4-1? No. 3-0 is the likeliest outcome. But yeah, fingers crossed John can nick a set for me. But I think Dobey wins it with an element of comfort. And be 3-0 or 3-1, I think. And no need to force a bet here. On to the evening session then. No bet here for me, but great game to open up the evening. Ricardo Pietreczko versus Jose de Sousa. Jose, for those who don't follow darts all year round, he's had a great career, obviously. Very, very popular player. But his career was in danger of just petering to a sad end because Jose is going to lose his tour card unless he wins 3 games at this World Championship. Now, that probably isn't going to happen. But he was in danger of losing his tour card in the most tame way possible, losing a Players' Championship first round game, because that was the situation facing him until he rocked up at this tour card holder qualifier and rolled back the years. He won his games with averages of like 95, 98 and 96. And it was really, really good stuff from this. If we'd seen a little bit of that in the last year or two, he wouldn't be in this position. But sadly, he's been pretty rubbish for the last 2 years. So it's just a case of knowing what Jose is going to turn up, really. Is it going to be the Jose that we saw at qualifying that could be competitive with anyone? Or is it going to be the Jose that we've seen for the last 2 years who's, looks like a career petering out? So that's why I couldn't bet it. I want De Sousa to win because I think he's been a brilliant servant for darts and he's such a likeable guy, and it'd be lovely to see him go out with one last sort of swashbuckling performance. There's also the realist in me that thinks that Ricardo Pietreczko is a really, really solid, often underestimated performer. Yes, he does have a stinker in his locker, as we saw last year when he went out. I think he averaged like 70, 79 or something in the game he went out in. But generally speaking, really, really solid operator. Does raise his game for the big occasion as well, I think, Pietreczko sometimes, and he's been playing sort of sneakily quite well for the last few months. So not a game I want to get involved in. I'm hoping Jose, just as a minimum, turns up, plays well, averages 90-something, makes it a good game. If he nicks it, the romantic in me would enjoy it, but I won't be betting on it. 3 more games in the evening then. Danny Noppert makes his bow against Jurjen van der Velde. Anyone who watched my big tournament preview will know I'm really, really keen on Danny Noppert. I've been backing him left, right and centre in recent months. Just immense consistency. I think he's kicked on another level. Always been consistent. Now he's consistently elite. He's been semi-finals in 3 of the last 4 majors, losing to Humphreys and Littler. And there's not really many players playing as well as he is, pure and simple, in the last 3 months. He's always been a fantastic finisher. I think he's added a new level of scoring to his game. His first 9 average has gone up in the last 3 months and 6 months. And I just think he looks more and more settled on TV. Every time I see him, he looks more comfortable because he's an introvert. He's not a natural. Has got ADHD as well, I believe, Noppert. So not a natural in these kind of situations where all the eyes and lights are on him. It's taken him a while to really feel comfortable. And this is remarkable that you're talking about a UK Open champion of 4 years ago here. So he's been capable for a long time, but now he looks settled and comfortable on the big stage. And I really, really think he has a chance to go deep in this tournament. I've backed him for his quarter at 11-2. Could have had easier opening round ties against his countryman, Jurjen van der Velde, young Dutchman. Should have won the World Youth Championship last year. Blew a load of match starts against Jan van Veen. Not really kicked on as quickly as many thought, but he has done okay. Obviously, comes here through the development tour. And yeah, he was at the Grand Slam of Darts as well. Got out of his group, played really well, then got hammered by Luke Humphreys in the knockouts. No shame in that. But I do think that Noppert, I think there's a class gap between these two at the moment, and certainly a big stage experience gap. And I think the way that Noppert's been playing, you can just trust him at the moment. Now, ignore that 19-10. Unibet is still messing up the prices on correct scores here. But I think this 11-10 correct score for the 3-0. I think I'd back Noppert to beat anybody outside of the top 4 or 5. 3-0 at the minute. I just think he's playing that well. So I think odds against here, I'm happy to play it. There is a little bit of money for it. As you can see, I think that's a rock solid bet there. I think Van der Velde's got a bright future, by the way, and I wouldn't be all that surprised if he plays well and makes this competitive. But I just think you're in safe hands backing up at the minute. He'll give you a very good run for your money. Okay, Gerwyn Price also makes his bow this evening. Plays Adam Gawlas. Price 1-100 with Ladbrokes. Best price of 1-20 with 365. So it's not a betting heat in terms of the match winner. I didn't think I was going to be having a bet in this game because the 3-0, despite what Unibet are telling you, is 4-9. And I thought, okay, this is just a watching brief. However, there's been a lot of late money for Gawlas in the 180 market. Now, this will be sort of data-driven because there's people who don't watch a lot of darts but do a lot of modelling and stuff that like to get stuck into the 180 markets because their model's telling them X, Y, and Z, which is totally fine by me and very efficient way of betting. I've never been a great modeler, but I have a lot of respect for those who do it. But if you'd actually look at this 180 market here, Gawlas has been really, really heavily backed to, you can see he's a sea of blue here. and price is now as big as sort of 4 to 6 bigger to win the 180 count, which yeah, to me, you've got to be getting involved with price at this point. Price isn't always a guaranteed 180 hitter because he does like to switch quite a lot. So sometimes you can rush in and back price incorrectly in this kind of market. But at the end of the day, there is a class gap between Gerwyn Price and Adam Gawlas. Gawlas looked like a player that was going to kick on and really be a fantastic addition. I mean, he made the UK Open semi-finals 3 years ago. He is a World Youth Championship runner-up and looked like he had the world at his feet. He actually lost his tour card, dropped back off the tour and couldn't get it back. And it's just doesn't fill me with confidence. Quite an erratic player as well, which I suppose if you were backing him on the 180 line, yeah, there's a chance he could turn up, play really well because he does have that level in him, but we don't see it anywhere near enough. And I also think you've got to consider that Price, he's watched Littler lay down a marker in his opener with a ton average. He's watched Humphries do the same with a ton average. Now it's his turn to make an impact on the tournament. I think that he'll want to turn up here and put a bit of a show on and remind everyone that he's here. And I think he's got an opportunity against an opponent to do so because Gawlas will give him a few free legs, will go off the boil sometimes, will hit really low scores at times. So I think Price will relax in. I think we'll see a good performance from him. And the 180 line, the way I would probably play it is you could just back Price straight on most 180s and win the match, which or most 180s and win 3-0. And I wouldn't have many complaints here, but I think we could keep it simple here on YouTube with 2 points at 13 to 20 on Price most 180s. And I just think it's absolutely rock solid bet. So final game of the evening is Niko Springer versus Joe Comito. Again, this is another one-sided affair. I'm going to back the 3-0 here for the young German. It is being backed, as you can see, plenty of money for it. 5 to 6, I think, is the best price we're getting. 10 to 11. 10 to 11 on the 3-0 for Niko Springer. He's playing Joe Comito here, an Australian qualifier who, steady player, nothing more. Played in the Aussie Premier League, didn't have a great campaign, but he did win the top of the Australian Pro Tour. Perhaps he's a better floor player than he is a big stage player because not a lot in last year's debut would maybe want to rush to back him here. Springer's had an absolute breakout year. Obviously won a European Tour event in Hungary where he beat 5 top 16 players to win it. Backed in that weekend. That was one of our better winners of the year, 150 to 1. And he's a fantastic talent. Someone who I think will be going deep in World Championships for the next decade. Obviously amassed some good experience here when losing a cracker to Scott Williams, perhaps pummeled in the 180s. He's a lot more known commodity here now. I think he's an interesting runner, actually, in this little section. Didn't quite get to backing him in the quarter. I do have a few shillings on him outright at a massive price from the start of the year. But I think in the here and now, he takes care of Kamito. I think the 3-0 is absolutely fair enough at 10 to 11. And that's the way I'll be playing it. Okay, guys, so that sums up my thoughts on Tuesday's action. Just to run through, and I have a point on Teemu Harju at 11 to 4, nothing more, but I think he's got a chance against Alan Soutar. Couple of points on Kenny versus Hood over 7.5 180s. Couple of points on Paolo Nebrida, ton plus finish against Scott Williams, 11 to 10. No betting Dobey versus Zong or Pietreczko versus Sousa. But I will be backing the 3-0s in Danny Noppert versus Van der Velde and Springer versus Kamito at 6 to 5 and 10 to 11. And then the going price at Adam Gawlas game, I'm just going to back going price at most 180s at 13 to 20. So plenty to go out then. Quite a busy day betting wise for me here. Some of them haven't been, but this one is just the way it falls. I'll be back tomorrow to preview what is just a 4-match card on Wednesday evening. Let me know what you're backing. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Please do give us a thumb up and hit subscribe if you are. And I'll be back again tomorrow. Thanks very much, guys.